And the referee for tonight's 4X International Test match is
Mr. Dennis Hale, back on deck again in a Test match in Australia, his 7th overall. Naffin comes to the halfway line to toss with big Mal Meninga. Two very big men, and PNG have come straight from the Tasman after a tour of New Zealand. Breeze looking as though it will favour the Papuans, who have won the toss.
Naffin, one of the biggest men in the Papua New Guinea pack, at around 100 kilos. They are outweighed, as you would expect tonight. But having been up there last year, Graham, at the end of last season when Australia played the 2 tests there, they certainly have a lot of ticker. And they'll be taking it to the Australian forwards all night. Don't worry about that.
Meninga to get us underway in Townsville. Just checks again with both sides, and we are underway. Totally misjudged in the breeze, and they will be under pressure right from the start. Just showing us how difficult it will be, the handling in this match.
Yes, it may look like quite a simple error there, Graham, but we've got the benefit, of course, of sitting here watching how strong this wind is, and it's almost gale force conditions out there.
This one well taken by Willie Khan. He is put down by Emil. Lindner on the short blindside, throws himself into the line. Only a couple of metres away in the opening 90 seconds. Langer, straight away now they go wide. Daly. Khan comes into the line, looking for an inside runner. He stays outside. Mackay comes to dummy half. Gillespie to take over amongst the forwards. Plenty of strong defence on him. Walters, extra wide as Langer, as is Daly. Fittler with plenty of men left over. Lindner to the corner. Had support on the outside. He juggled the ball. He was well taken by Matt Milo. Now, midfield bomb by Daly goes backwards. This time they come up with it through Karoo. Naipo takes over from dummy half. And the forwards come in for their first touches as well. Ben Moide now just inside his own 22.
Papuans already shown, Graham, they certainly don't lack any courage. That tackle by Matt Milo on Bobby Lindner over on the far side of the field really was a jolting one that's brought the ball free.
Ball goes back to get them out of the danger zone, but it travels straight to Willie Khan. Little bit of room to move for Khan as he goes wide to Graham Mackay's wing. Now he links up with the big man. Chased and put down in the end by August Joseph. Daly to Steve Walters. He will run without support. Settles play down. 40 metres out. Daly to Brad Mackay. Meninga on his outside. Now inside. Brushes away one. Stands in the tackle. Khan seemingly everywhere in the opening minutes, as is Lindner, with plenty of touches for him in the back row. Meninga looking for a quick restart to Langer. Inside goes Gillespie. Gillespie gets a ball away. There's going to be trouble the way they're standing and unloading. Hancock dancing down the sideline. 9 metres out. Daly wants it wide. Steps inside. Daly, early moments, grabs the try. They came up quickly on the outside, but there was nobody just as quick on the inside. Langer was looking for his 5'8" partner. Optus replay. Daly ran out of options outside, but a gaping hole up the middle. He got a free trail.
Here's a simple ball out from Alan Langer. It really did appear as though the Papuans had ample defence on the inside, but apparently coming across a little bit too quick. And of course, as we've seen in our Origin matches this year, give Laurie Daly half a yard start, you can close the books. It's try time.
Well, Graham, that all comes back to that very early mistake from the opening kickoff from Joe Gisbey. the most experienced member of this Kumul side. He's playing in his 16th test tonight. He's 32 years of age, and he would have been expected to lead by example, but they really put them under pressure, put themselves under pressure right from the opening kickoff. As Graham Mackay, as most of us expected, he came out here today to practice his goal kicking. Then a decision was made, so Mackay will be starting off as the goal kicker for Australia this evening in his test debut.
Interesting, after Meninga kicked so well at Lang Park, and he comes up with an early miss. But the Ford scoreboard in this test against New Guinea, 4-0. Back for the restart. They made their first full tour to another nation back in 1979. And on that tour, it played its first test matches. They lost both of them to France. Hancock playing it inside his 22. Sirinen. Short ball up for Mackay, who was there in support. Dennis Hale with the penalty to the Australians. Of course, Mackay in for Bradley Clyde, and it is congratulations to Bradley Clyde, who had a Super Ashes series against Great Britain and picked up the Harry Sunderland medal as the best of the green and gold throughout.
Because Brad will be resting comfortably in hospital tonight. Our best wishes go to him. Be watching with great interest, I'm sure, for his Australian teammates here, as we see Lazarus take the ball up. Really the pressure back on the Papuans again, Graham.
Gillespie to keep the pressure on now, slipping as he comes to the defence. They set themselves for the switch to the blind side. The ball was behind Mackay. Brad Mackay, that is. He had to stop for it. But they have a very big back line. Langer to Daly. Meninga standing flat. Still stands for a long time, though. They need 3 defenders to upend him. Back they go 40 metres out. Lazarus over the advantage line easily. Tried to pop up a difficult one for Sirinen. Ball goes astray. A pressure pass from Lazarus back.
Obviously the Australians, as we see, it didn't quite look like a knock on there. Came off Ciro, but I think everybody that judged it at normal speed expected it to be a knock on. But fairly hard for the Australians, I guess, not to try and throw the ball around as much as possible. Obviously they're expecting to score plenty of tries and play a brand of football that's open and entertaining.
Emil tried to dart out from halfback. Now it's Gisbay. The forwards looking to switch as Matt Milo. Short ball popped up for Naffin. Taken by Sirinen and also Daly. To their back line for the first time. Kangaroos sent back up the inside. He doesn't have anywhere near the success of Laurie Daly. Now they set for the kick with their breeze at their backs. Out to the sideline. One hopper, fine kick. They go down near the Australians' 22. Australia have their minds firmly set on that World Cup final in October at Wembley Stadium against Great Britain. It'll be a tough event after a very long Winfield Cup season. Hancock off his wing. Wrapping is Brad Mackay. Taken by his opposite Gisbay and also Beery. Staying or looking to set for the short side. They switch to the back line. Daly. Plenty of runners. Meninga. Meninga gets it to Lindner, who's been living in the centres. Hancock with great hands. Great defence also from Bogey. Langer. They have them at 6s and 7s out wide. From one sideline to the other. Willie Kahn back inside. He was looking for Graham Mackay. Sirinen. Very quick play of the ball. Catches them out. Now on the last tackle. Gillespie has Fittler. But the ball from the dummy half was forward. Gillespie standing too flat. It is a handover. So it all comes unstuck. Just a little bit too keen. A little bit too early from that play. The ball was Gillespie. And now Wagambi off his wing as well. Easy pickings for the Australians as they run one out. Still amongst the forwards. Napo was the man who took it to the 22. Now Emil kicking away from Khan. Great break on the ball. That is a super kick from the halfback.
And Graham, this is the second time it's happened. It's just been out of... Now we'll pick it up on the head-on. The winger, Jack Urodoc, is showing plenty of pace. And these are dual-purpose kicks, I think. They're meant for him and also angled for touch. So, I mean, if it happens to stay there, Urodoc's been closest to the ball both times.
Australia have the scrums 2-1. Langer quickly makes it 3-1. Daly. Meninga on the inside. Taken by Gisbay. The dummy from Steve Walters. Back to Langer where he wanted to go the first time. Daly. Fittler changing direction. Getting away from Matt Milo. But taken by Ben Moide. Gillespie. Looking for plenty of work in this first half, Gillespie. Lazarus. Steamrolling through the forwards. Straight over the top of Matt Milo he went. Langer shows it once. They didn't take the dummy nor fall for the step. Sirinen. Sirinen last tackle, popped it up for Fittler. So some mistakes from the Australians just when they start to set themselves for some tries. Wagambi with the headgear out on the wing, taken easily by his opposite, Graham Mackay. John Wagambi, the coach, sideline. Watching as Emil nearly gets through with some good stepping. 32 metres out as the ball comes back and kept alive. The handling errors going against the Australians who have dominated possession. Carew with a little chip and chase. Langer is there to read it, and he will slice through. Bogey, the fullback, read it well to come up off his line to cut down the angle. Steve Walters. Plenty of pressure has been building in the last couple of minutes. Weight of possession might just about tell as Lindner is brought down 10 metres out right near the posts. Daly. Showed it outside, then easily for Brad Mackay on the inside to finish up only 3 metres away. Still with Daly. Sirinen the short ball, back to Daly, over the top. Fittler wasn't expecting it, but Graham Mackay will grab a try on debut. The Australian bench look on as Graham Mackay, with one of his few touches in his first test, grabs 4 points. It was just too much possession. On the Optus replay, Daly was looking for Fittler to stay outside. He got a great bounce. And Mackay had the cover defence off balance, easily back on the inside.
It's the try starting, of course, by a poor choice by the Papillon team, where they elected to try and chip kick out of their own quarter instead of getting the ball down. Tam, where they've been quite successful. Of course, only minutes later, a matter of passes, got the ball out wide, and really size being the deciding factor in the end. But I can't understand why they decided to try and chip kick that ball, Graham, because they'd met with some great success from 3 prior kicks.
Great year for Graham Mackay. He was injured after the first State of Origin success by New South Wales. Meninga back doing the kicking. Has a very strong breeze coming from his left-hand side. It was never ever starting out to the right side of the post. So it is all tries so far on the forward scoreboard. 8-0. 8-0 as the Australians come back to halfway with that mistake by New Guinea from the restart and the penalty. Taking their time as they come back to a halfway. The Australians overall have had 25 tackles in the opposition half. PNG none at the moment. And this kick by Meninga is 40 metres out now. They have the penalties 2-0. Run around. Off his wing for Hancock, straight across the paddock. He coughs it up. New Guinea lost it as well. The scrum will be packed. Hancock was looking to straighten eventually, but on the Optus replay, a hand in there from Carew. Langer comes up with it out of the scrum. Quick hands and great hands by Meninga to Hancock. They try to push him towards the sideline. Sinamau was the man trying to get him out over the chalk. Lindner nearly arrived too early at that advantage line. He will play it just outside the 22. To the back line again. Gillespie standing 2 out. To Fittler. Plenty of room to move. He will try and set himself for the step. As he does, he slips. Sirenen stands very wide. Right on the fringe, too much to handle. Daly to the corner. Mackay can't hang on. Yes, he does. Spectacular play from the Australians. Khan. Quick hands to Lazarus, trying to link up with Meninga. He gets into stride. Now over the top. Lindner to the corner for Hancock. It's forward.
And the Papuans scrambling very well in defence despite the forward pass to stop what would have been a try hadn't it been called back. Very impressed with their courage. They're certainly not lacking any.
Look at Sirenen, straight over the top of the captain, straight over the top of Matt Milo. And Matt Milo was on his backside for quite some time wondering what had hit me. It was like a runaway freight train. So the Papua New Guinea side will feed their own scrum. And they're deep down in their own quarter. This is where they've spent most of the match so far. We really haven't seen them with a chance to attack. This is Carew. He's looking for runners. Ben Moide will take it. And pop it to the big man in Beery. So a couple of good passages of play then. Emile moving it wide. Here comes the back line. Gumby on the end of this, waiting for it. It'll only go as far as Sinamau. And Joseph darts from dummy half. Gets it to halfway. Back inside to Wagambi. Wagambi looking for runners and finds Bogey. Well, that's the sort of stuff we've seen from the Papua New Guineans when Australia was up there last year. They're putting it together. They've got a long line. Here comes Emile. We were told to watch out for him. But Meninga will clean up.
That'll do their confidence the world of good there as well, Pat. I'm sure that the players and the coach will finally be relieved that the nerve will have gone away after a pretty shaky start to the game. But that was an excellent set of 6 tackles in which they brought the ball up almost 60 metres.
And you'll see the Australians be very wary of that little chip ahead, whether it be a grubber or a little one over the top of the Australian defence, because it was a tactic that they've used a lot. Lindner has lurked wide all night and caused some devastation out there. This time the ball's coughed up. And the Papua New Guinea side will get a chance to attack inside the Australian half for the first time in this match. This is Naffin. Naffin charging downfield. The captain trying to lead by example. Emile wants it. He's got runners left and right. And in the end, they overran it and he had to take the tackle himself. Matt Milo, a dummy half. Carew, a very tall 5'8". They pop it out wide as well to Sinamau. And the Australians are offside. Good ferrying by Hale. He played the advantage. Let the Kumals work it to the Australian line to see whether they could take any advantage from that. And when it didn't eventuate, the penalty came. And Carew has decided to take the shot at goal. Tuxley Carew will take this shot at goal from just inside the Australian quarter and only about 5 or 6 metres to the right-hand side of their uprights. Strong breeze favouring them, and favouring him, I should say, and will be coming right over his right shoulder. So, this one will put them within a converted try, and we're midway through this first half. The Australians, as you've already seen, have had plenty of chances, but have coughed up possession at vital times as they try and force those last passes. Carew has it lined up. He's pulled that away to the left-hand side of the uprights. the ball will go dead, but it wasn't a great shot from Kangaroo. The score remains 8-0 here. Australia lead the Papua New Guinea Kumals. Meninga to restart proceedings. Lowen only just gets it over the halfway as Bogay charges onto it. Been around for quite a while, Philip Bogay. He's a player with some raps on him, loves to inject himself into that back line. This is the man they call Bigfoot. Ben Berry has a size 13 shoe. And the missed tackles, you can see, tell the story. There's Emil Chip kicking ahead. This time, Willie Khan's got plenty of time, but there were plenty of Kumal chasers, and they'll hunt Willie Khan down in his own quarter line and drag him to ground. Well, while they have the Australians camped down in their own quarter, the New Guinea contingent here are loving it. And they seem to be more fired up now, Wally. They've taken confidence from a couple of those attacking raids that they mounted.
Yes, it must be a very daunting task for them. Rugby league, of course, is their national sport there now, and they really look at some of the Australian football players every week and have a hero-like worship of them when the Australians go up there to get the chance to play against them. As Laurie Daly.
Here it goes, Daly again, inside to Hancock. Hancock stands up his man brilliantly, but that's some great cover defence from Naffin, the captain, covering a lot of ground, the big prop to get over there. Ball loose on the ground, knock on Australia. The scrum will puck just outside the Kumals quarter line. Well, that's good stuff from the big prop. Leading by example. Hancock tried to keep it alive. Willie Khan couldn't hold it. And Emil will feed this scrum just outside his own quarter. Karoo waiting for it. 4-2 the scrums to Australia. In comes Bogay, and Bogay with the long pass looking for Wagambi. That was good stuff. Now he tries to stand up Mackay, but Mackay had him well covered. Well, they're prepared to throw it. We knew they would. John Wagambi, speaking in an interview today, said this team will put 200% into their game tonight. They don't play another international for 18 months, and they will put their bodies on the line. And if he said if they need to be carried off the Townsville reserve, even in defeat, then so be it, but it's for the glory of the country. This is Emil. They've cut the chip kicking from their game, for the moment anyway, and this one goes well and truly dead. So the Australians will bring it back to their own quarter line for the restart. Scoreline at the moment, Australia lead the Kumals 8-0 here at the Townsville Sports Reserve. Welcome back. Australia lead 8-0 on the forward scoreboard. But we're midway through this first half, and the Kumals are starting to come alive. Their attack has been good in the last 10 minutes or so, and I think with it, Wally, their defence has picked up.
Obviously, the amount of confidence that they've gained out of the last couple of attacking raids out wide have given that status to them. But the Australians, it's quite obvious where they want to play the game. They want to throw the ball around. There's not a lot of hard rucking going up the middle, and it's a very open attacking sort of a game, and I'm sure that the public here at the Townsville Sports Reserve are very appreciative.
Well, Meninga spied a little opening on the blind side, but Uradoc was there. Mick O'Connor, a lot of chat amongst the Kumals. They're very, very keen for this one.
They are. Like, we gave them independence. Oh, great work there from Brad Fittler. I mean, this would be bigger than them gaining independence if ever they beat Australia. They love the rugby league. It's a national game, and you know, they're playing well. But as far as I'm concerned, they have to show a little bit more commitment taking the ball up. There've been on occasions there've been runners not being there to take the ball up, and you see Mal Meninga just playing on a ball for
Michael Hancock. And Brad Fittler has been injured in back play on that tackle by Bogay, who showed great courage to take the big man head on. The Australians have numbers. Langer trying to pop it inside. Gets it out to Steve Walters. Walters to Daly. Daly has men. Gillespie. And he pops it to Mackay. Back to Gillespie. That was good work by the prop. Here goes Gillespie. Gillespie back to Brad Mackay, but Mackay will be tackled only about 8 metres out. Walters into dummy half. The Australians want quick ball here. Daly to Sirinen on the charge. He's taken head on. This is great defence by the Kumals so far. They're holding on to these Australians. Well, that was a little flippant, I thought, from Willie Khan. Tried to pop it over his head basketball style, and the Australians now, a comedy of errors creep in, and a little bit of overconfidence and plenty of vigour in attack.
errors from the Australians. Pat, you've got to pay a lot of credit to the PNG defence there. Jack Iridoc came up, and he, the winger on the far side of the field, has been putting quite a deal of pressure on his opponent, Mickey Hancock, out there, and he is one of the blokes that has moved up extremely quick in defence. They're playing quite a good method of defence as well. They're sliding when they're in a little bit of trouble, obviously taking a few pointers out of some of the Australian club defensive programs, and I think that they're doing themselves a fair bit of, well, they're doing themselves proud out here, and they obviously have done a fair bit of homework.
That's Carew. Well, you can see it. The Australians, as I said, have been very much ad-lib in attack tonight. 10-2, the handling errors. They've coughed up a lot of ball. By the same token, they've had a lot more possession. This is Ben Moyday. Pops it out the back. Naffin throws the pass to his hooker in Matt Milo. Over the top, Brad Mackay. Now they'll look to throw it wide. Carew comes in to Emil. Emil trying to stand up Sirinen. Good last-ditch stuff by Paul Sirinen there, because he could well been away. The live wire little halfback on the charge. Bigfoot. Ben Bire. Still going. This time he runs into Sirinen head on. We have a turnover.
Forgot to do his sums though on that occasion. Bire, 6 tackle. Quite keen to get forward.
There it is. He brushed past Meninga and ran into someone just a little bit bigger.
This is the only area of the field that the PNG boys are getting into a little bit of trouble. Though. They're not moving up quite as quickly in defence. The Australian prop forwards in particular, with Glenn Lazarus and David Gillespie, with Paul Sirinen backing them up, are reaping the rewards there, making 10 and 12 metres every time they cart the ball up.
Penalties 3-1 to Australia as Meninga takes the third penalty Australia has received tonight. That one coming with a little over-vigorous attention for Glenn Lazarus. Sails into a very, very big crowd here at the Townsville Sports Reserve as the Australians go on the attack just outside the Kummel's quarter line. Langer waiting for it. He has Gillespie outside. He also has Sirinen who charges. Now he's looking for support. The ball's been coughed up again. And Langer is offside. Well, it's becoming a comedy of errors for the Aussies just at the moment. We all worried about complacency leading into this match, Graham. Bob Fulton said it wouldn't be there. I don't know whether it's complacency or overconfidence.
Well, there is going to be the excuse there that these guys have got a lot on their minds still with the Winfield Cup. But Mick O'Connor, any little piece of play here and some points from the Cornwalls, and it's going to be quite embarrassing with only about 10 or 12 minutes out from half-time.
Yeah, I mean, they can put on a chip kick, can't they? But they haven't learned. Did they put the ball out there?
No, they didn't.
Haven't learned to do that yet.
And Mackay climbs into full stride to the 22. Maybe they put it all together here, Australia. Fittler to Langer and Daly. Meninga winding himself up. Getting to the outside of Sinemau. To the corner, Hancock. Great tackle from Bogey. 3 times he's been tested in defence. 3 times he's come up trumps.
And a strong tackle it was. Mickey Hancock injured through the tackle. You certainly can't doubt the courage and commitment that the PNG boys are showing in their defence. Probably most people backing Mickey Hancock to score easily on this situation. Just getting his foot pushed into touch.
Got the ball down all right before taking that post, but a foot across the chalk. And the scoreline, well and truly, a great one for the Kummel's. 8-0 only. Papua New Guinea to look for the sideline. Taking their time over it. The Australians, of course, will have the breeze at their backs in the second half. 35 metres out from their own line. The handling letting the Australians down. A little bit of a communication breakdown before Iridoc took the ball up. Hancock still in trouble with the trainer. Getting out towards halfway. Naffin resenting the tackle. And strong running indeed coming from Napo. Emil to go to the backs. Carew. Bogey comes in. Pops it up, Cinnamau to Joseph. Taken by Fittler. Good confident hands out amongst the back line. Wagambi. He tries to chip and chase, but it was never on. Langer was just waiting for it. Willie Kahn trying to sight the gap, but the defence still comes. The Australians to work it out of their half now. Sirinen. Midfield. Lazarus. Chris Johns gets out there to replace Hancock. As Walters spins around, tries to find a gap up the middle. There will be an unhappy coach, Bob Fulton, at half-time with some of the passes coming into play. Naffin. They will start to build in confidence. Hancock disappointed as he goes back to the bench. New Zealand in their test clash on that tour recently against the Comores posted 66 points. Matthew Ridge had a big off day with the boot. 80 points could have been posted. It will be hard to believe across the Tasman when they see this scoreline. Emil, Carew, the big tall 5'8". Bogey stays in the line. Last tackle. Carew. From dummy half, he sighted the short angle, and it is a fine kick indeed from him as well. Doing the good thing, the little things very well.
He's taken the right option on that occasion. We've seen a number of times they've elected to take the chip when they've had a full back line out there. I don't think Bob Fulton can really question the Australians' commitment out on the field so far. They're just taking a couple of wrong options, and perhaps he might be paying enough credit, of course, to their opponents, who really do look like they're putting in their best effort for years. The scoreline certainly seems to indicate that, as we've only got around about 7 or 8 minutes remaining. Obviously, Fulton will be hoping for another 6 points or so before the half-time break. The Comores coach, I'm sure, will be looking for exactly what sort of commitment he's had in defence so far. Perhaps a little bit more speed and moving up, if anything.
Walters to play it back for Langer. Gillespie. He's been looking for a lot of work with the ball. Graham Mackay goes back for it, but the Comores come up with it. Crowd giving them plenty of support, as well as Naffin takes on Sirinen, just short of the Australian 22. Carew wanting to take over. Emil. Sloppy ball out, comes loose. Off the head, I think, of Ben Moide. Iradoc from his wing. In amongst the forwards, easily taken by Steve Walters. Rare opportunity for them down at the Australian end. Joseph will play it with one tackle remaining, no dummy half. They get there late. Emil kicking, trying to find some open spaces, but the ball sits up and breaks back towards Willie Kahn. Chased by a halfback. Too much pace for him. To the outside of Wagambi. Now Emil grabs him, swinging arm in the tackle. Willie Kahn was keen to go on with it. Langer. Lindner. It's becoming awkward, Mick, and also frustrating for the Australians.
It is. I think they've got to get out of cruise control or automatic pilot, because I think they're just going through the motions a little bit. I like Wally, don't question their commitment, but I think that they've just got to hit the ball up a little bit more, like Lazarus is doing at the moment.
He does it brilliantly.
Before going right.
Naffin. Monsters. The Australian halfback over the top. One more tackle left. Daly allowed to run over the shoulder of Johns. Johns loses it, still alive for Steve Walters. He kicks, but it is easily picked up. Gisbey will play it. And Beery easily taken by Brad Mackay. So the Lazarus power play finally got the Australians motoring.
Defending quite well, the Comores, but we're just seeing, just out of camera range at the moment, Graham, there's around about 6 or 7 PNG players with hands on hips, down on one knee. Fitness certainly is a little bit lacking. that may be the factor that sees Australia press home some advantage in the next 4 or 5 minutes.
Chance here for Khan too, because there is a broken line. Not a good chase from the Kumals. And Khan gets clear. Good low driving tackle though from Sinamau. Daly, the most dangerous whenever he's touched. Taken by Kangaroos. Midfield and 40 metres out inside the last 5 of this first 40. Brad Mackay slipping. Good strong head on defence as well from Gisbey. Langer looking for runners. He had to go to the inside to Johns. Gillespie with Langer and a short run around from Gillespie. Back to Langer off the boots. Still play on. Bogey is there on spot. Changes direction. He's taken by Steve Walters. Little dummy to try and get away from the 22. Didn't really work. Mill has been busy. Matt Milo gives it back to the halfback. Ben Moide nowhere to go. Starting to show the pace, especially amongst the Kumals forwards. But they have done a super job so far. Kangaroos looking for the far touchline. Towering kick with the breeze, and it's back. Iridok just arrives too late. You picked it before, Pat. This time he just needed it to sit up a little bit for him, and he was clear.
Shows blistering pace, doesn't he? And as I said, that's the 3rd time the kick has headed that way, and it's the 3rd time he's been first there. Each time, unfortunately, for the Kumals, the ball has just beaten him into touch.
Plenty of support for the Kumals. Just looking for a try to really shock the Australians. Willie Khan with a clear passage. He climbs into the line for Mackay. To full stride, put off balance by Bogey. Great hands from Fittler. Khan back to Fittler. They go 20 metres back for Sirinen. He stands through the hands of Fittler, through the hands of Langer, but not through the hands of Ben Moide. Beery now. Beery to Emil. Emil to Iridok. Chased by Lindner. Back to Emil. Climbing over the top was Gillespie, who missed him, but Meninga didn't. He destroyed him. 38 metres out from the Australian line. Plenty of passing from both sides. Beery gets upended. So Meninga puts his stamp on it, upsetting the bench as well of the Kumals. 8-0 to Australia. Looking against the feed, the Kumals. Dennis Hale will pack it down again. Nothing is going right for the green and gold. Plenty going well for John Wagambi and the Kumals. Daly. Switching play. Nearly lost it, dragged it back, and he sends Graham Mackay down the chalk. Joseph in good cover. Whenever they have stretched wide, there have been 2 and 3 there to tidy things up. Awful ball out for Brad Mackay. So some headaches for Bob Fulton.
Well, Fulton probably wouldn't have been all that concerned about 8 to 10 minutes ago. But a few of the passes they'd thrown in the last couple of minutes, as we've just seen, wouldn't have pleased the coach too much at all. But Mick O'Connor, the defensive pattern of the Great Britain team doesn't really resemble one of an Australian side, of the Papua New Guinea side, really doesn't resemble an Australian offensive pattern. Perhaps that's the reason why Australians are having a little bit of difficulty with it.
Yeah, they're scrambling very well, Wally. But I think Australia are playing into their hands. They're playing a very open style of game. They're throwing it around like a 7-a-side match, and I think that's the way Papua New Guinea like to play, but a disappointment there, and also a disappointment for Wayne Bennett, because I believe that Michael Hancock has busted a rib, so Wayne Bennett will probably be looking at going over the Story Bridge in the next 5 or 10 minutes and considering his options.
There will be no doubt about that. Chance with that mistake from the captain, Naffin, now for Australia to find a try just before half-time. Fittler to Mackay. Still the cover is there, this time from Carew. 1 minute only. Brad Mackay. Taken by Gisbey. Steve Walters. Sirinen. Sirinen back for Fittler. Fittler to Brad Mackay. The defence cut out his option to Langer. The siren goes. Dennis Hale says that's all there is. And a tremendous first 40 minutes for the Cornwalls. 66 points posted by New Zealand against them in a recent test. At half-time here on the Ford scoreboard, it is only 8-0. Back with more after this. Plenty of open play. A lot of chasing from the Cornwalls, but they have covered up magnificently. John Wagambi, the coach of the Cornwalls, grabs his seat. Australia have had a staggering 48 tackles in the opposition half. The Cornwalls only 18. Graham Mackay, one of the try scorers in the first half, breaks one tackle, gets back to the 22. Brad Mackay now to take over, and easily picks up 15 metres. Sirinen strongly over that advantage line. Lazarus goes without it. Gillespie doesn't. Short passage of play. They are now only 40 metres out from the Cornwalls line as Steve Waters gets out of dummy half easily. Last tackle. Daly. Bombing. A very impressive fullback in the first half. Philip Bogey, not so impressive this time. The easiest try in the end that Willie Kahn will ever score. He looked so solid in the first half, Philip Bogey. Some great defence, but a swirling bomb on the Optus replay from Laurie Daly. He got caught out badly.
No option for the fullback here. He had to go up for the ball with so many Australians chasing, but of course the wind shifting it around. A little bit of a handling area causing the try, but Australia, within that first 6 tackles, showed exactly what we thought might happen at the half-time break. There was obviously a bit of a stick waved.
The business is on. Plenty of chasing. Through the hands also of Jack Iridoc, and Kahn plants down the try. Dennis Hale calls timeout for an injury to one of the Cornwalls, as Meninga awaits after Iridoc gets back to his feet from right in front for Meninga as he tries to convert Australia's 60th try against Papua New Guinea. That adds to the tally in their test clashes. Right down the middle as Australia send it to 40. So much better from the Australians. Just what you were talking about, Michael O'Connor, about the forwards getting over that advantage line.
Yeah, there were some gaping holes. The Papua New Guinea defence really didn't move up in that first set of 6, and Australia making them pay dearly for it.
Carew with the restart down to Langer. Graham Mackay. Taken well head on by Matt Milo. Lazarus. The forwards getting very busy in the early moments from the break. From a long way back was Ledner. It went across him to Sirinen. Sirinen's ball was well away from Meninga. The Cornwalls pick it up, and a great opportunity with it. Emil, no support on his outside. Taken by Steve Walters. Working it away through the forwards. Napo. To Emil and Carew. To Bogey, who comes into the back line at every opportunity. Head down was Sinamau trying to crash his way through Meninga. Bogey, Carew, Emil. Loses it. They can't maintain the pressure. Ledner gives himself away. Dennis Hale says, let's not worry about it.
I think that was a sympathy decision from the referee on occasion.
He put his hands up. He said, handcuff me, take me straight to jail. Brad Mackay now with the let-off. Sirinen taken and monstered by 3. Sirinen resents it.
One of the PNG players going a little bit high on Cyril on that occasion.
And that is asking something to climb high on someone who was well and truly about a
Grabbed
foot
a step ladder there
above them
somewhere
all.
along the line.
Yes, it was number 12, James Nappau, straight over the top.
And gave him a real facial too.
I think we saw a little earlier in the night Meninga having a chat to referee Dennis Hale about a couple of these tackles just creeping a little high. And at that time, Dennis Hale certainly had no choice but to penalise because it happened right in front of him.
Well, you played against them enough, Wally, and you've mentioned time and time again just how hard they are.
Very difficult blokes to play against, but physically, you wake up the morning after and you know you've been in a football game. They tackle you by any means and way available, and they really won't back down. There's no way in the world about that. We've seen them take on some of the Australian big men already tonight. No, they're heroes back in their home country. They're not about to lay down tonight and hand victory to Australia without putting up a fight.
Looked as though Gillespie might have lost that in that tackle. Dennis Hale was unsighted. Steve Walters still travelling, just 5 metres out in front of the posts. Plays it quickly. Langer, numbers out wide for Daly to use. Khan, quick hands. The ball goes back for Fittler to try and set himself. He finishes up in front of the posts. They had them short on the left, now they stay right. Langer. Decoy was Lindner. And Lazarus was tidied up the middle. Daly kicking to the in goal. Meninga tried to do a replay of his test try at Lang Park after a Daly kick. This time it didn't sit up nicely for him. Tried to clutch it on the Optus replay, just couldn't drag it in. Strong defence coming in now from Sirinen. And Milo will go nowhere down the blind side. Ben Moide hit heavily by David Gillespie. He gets a warning from Dennis Hale to keep the tackles below the shoulders.
Bit of a get square coming along on that occasion, I think. It's meant just putting his mark on the game. Trying to prove that the Australians aren't going to stand for anything. John Cartwright coming onto the field for the Australians as we see Brad Mackay being replaced. Obviously Bob Fulton looking for a little bit more variety in attack. Of course Cartwright we've seen for many years put countless players into gaping holes, and let's face it, with this New Guinea defence at the moment, there does appear to be one or two opening up early in the second half.
That Milo popping it up the middle. There was a gap there for a fraction, but it closed in the shape of Meninga. Emil, Carew, Sinemau. Back for Joseph. Took a look up at Fittler after the tackle. Now Wagambi off his wing. Carew fumbled. Still got it away for the little man, Emil. Stepping inside Langer. Then looking outside. Great chance. Bogey. Back it comes for Matt Milo. Still alive. The ball went back for Naffin. Last tackle. One more as they try and stretch it. Carew. He will bomb away, kicking into the breeze. Difficult one for Daly. He loses it. Joseph grabs a try. You don't think they'll celebrate this one, and they deserve it. Plenty of support for them here in Townsville as they bomb away. They do to the Australians what the Australians did right after the break. Daly climbed high, lost it behind him. August Joseph just grabs the try.
Just proving, or taking a page out of the Australians book, putting that ball high up. Extremely difficult to judge anybody underneath the ball. Laurie Daly on that occasion made a real meal of it, but you can't blame Laurie, I suppose. The wind blowing very, very strongly out here, but the Kumals on that occasion taking the right option, putting the ball in the air. They've been a little bit unsuccessful with their grubber kicks and chip kicks over the top. Now they're back in the match. We'll just get a good opportunity to see how much extra confidence they've gained from that four-pointer.
Plenty of confidence for August Joseph. Grabbing a try On debut against the Australians, who were stunned by it. Emil takes this one a long way back, out near the sideline, well past the 22. Now 27 metres out, kicking into the breeze. Will never ever have the legs from out there. But they do have a try. And an embarrassing scoreline at the moment for Australia, 14-4 in favour of Australia on our forward scoreboard. We welcome you back on 7 Sport to this test match in Townsville. And a mistake from the Kumals, who allow the kick restart to go dead in goal. They will have to give it back to the Australians from under their own posts. Kangaroo will have the line drop out that will put the Australians under the attack, and they are very desperate for another try. Does well to get it out near halfway into the breeze. Willie Kahn. Linda. Running determinedly. Lazarus. They stand back and wait for the big front rower. He gets the roll on to set it up for the back line. Daly. Fittler. Fittler steps. 8 metres out. Cartwright gets a touch at last. But the defence holds, sending the Australians to the last tackle. Langer to the in goal. But it goes dead. Too big. Back to the 22, and the Kumals weather the storm.
The Kumals' mistake on that occasion not being punished by the Australians. Unfortunately, the area of in goal here at the Townsville Sports Reserve, very, very short. I think it's just 5 metres or 6 metres, which is the smallest that's allowable under the game's laws. But the Kumals back on attack now. Hopefully they'll be able to get the ball out of their own territory for their way of looking at the game anyway, to try and put a little bit more pressure on the Australians. But we've seen them shift the ball, and shift the ball wide they do again.
Just warming up the benches. Cinemau should have stayed away from the sideline. This will give the Australians the feed. There was only one result coming here on the Optus replay, and that was Meninga was going to put his opposite out of play. 32 out from the Kumals line. Daly. Meninga. Stands, but the ball gets knocked back. Knocked down by the Kumals. They just cannot get into stride. Matt Milo to Emil, who has had a great game at half. Chased by Langer, put down 40 metres out from his own line. The handling errors in a massive way against Australia.
4 tackles in a row from Langer.
Down for Kangaroo, taken by Gillespie. Emil gets the kick off. In behind Mackay. Wagambi is chasing. He was way offside. He was nabbed by Kahn. And Kahn just lets him know that he's around. He argues with Hale that he was onside.
And the replay shows that he was.
He really motored on the Optus replay. Well, Graham Mackay allowed the ball to bounce.
I guess you can't blame the referee on that occasion. At first look, it really did appear that the winger had to be offside, but you've got to admire Eurodoc and Wagambi's speed in getting to the football. We've seen countless occasions tonight. Their ability to chase the football has put extreme pressure on the Australians.
Well, Mick, throughout the Ashes series against Great Britain, Ledner with a great charge up the middle. Bobby Fulton kept mentioning that handling and possession was so vital, and that it's coming back to Horning tonight.
It is, but they can get away with it against a side like Papua New Guinea. And here's a big burst by Suriname. But they are very aggressive, the Papua New Guineans, in their defence, and they don't mind whacking you around the head. I mean, I don't suppose the video replays a big thing up in the table, lands up in Papua New Guinea. And, I mean, I think Willie Kahn just a minute ago was a bit of a get square with the winger because he got hit high not long ago.
Yeah, I think he also copped one from Mugambi in the first half.
He did.
Steve Walters back to Langer. 9 metres out. They will only have one more tackle. Shot blindside. Meninga trying to work. Johns flicked it back beautifully for Gillespie. Then to Steve Walters to Lazarus. He will keep it alive. Back for a touch from Sirinen. Gillespie going everywhere. Langer kicking for Meninga. Well thought out by Langer. But again, it is great cover and scrambling.
Superb scrambling by the Kumals on that occasion. Probably 2 or 3 times during the course of that movement, it appeared as though the Australians were certain to score. But the Kumals just sliding from side to side, putting a great load of pressure on their Australian counterparts. Meninga's speed almost gaining him the reward.
And they cover up, Pat. We are still waiting for the tries to come.
Yeah, great work again by August Joseph, saving the day. But again, the Kumals under plenty of pressure as they have to drop out from their own line. Kangaroos sends it deep. Back to Willie Kahn. Willie Kahn has had a try-scoring feast against the Kumals, but not tonight. He scored 1, he scored 3, and both the tests he played as Fittler. Bobs and weaves. Now goes himself, and Fittler will put it down underneath the post.
Did he lose it? Did he get it down?
The replay will show us, but there was no one around him. And finally, the defence, which we have praised all night, cracks. And have a look at it right up the centre. Kahn pops it back for Fittler, and Fittler carves them straight up the middle with that famous step of his. Past plenty of weak defence there. And let's have a look at it now, Wally. Half a dozen players he's beaten. Ooh.
I don't think he got it down.
Well, Brad Fittler certainly turned around very quickly once the ball had gone down under the post there. A little bit unfortunate for the PNG. Well,
no try.
I don't think it's a try.
Philip Bogate, the fullback for the Kumals, was on the ground getting treated by the strapper for the Papua New Guinea side, and as Bogate was trying to run sideways to go and grab Fittler as he was approaching the try line, the PNG trainer wouldn't let him go.
Meninga. No mistake from right in front. And Australia now grab a very handy 20 points to 4 lead, and they will breathe a big sigh of relief here at the Townsville Sports Reserve. Scoreboard in Townsville reads Australia 20. The Papua New Guinea Kumals 4, and a crowd as they make another mistake. Now the error's starting to creep into the Kumals game. Australian penalty on halfway as that ball goes out on the full. And we can see the weight of possession and the weight of pressure that Australia has applied in this second half. And the tackle 67 in the opposition half for Australia, just 23 for the Kumals. But in those 23 tackles, they managed to cross for that great try from the bomb. 20 points to 4. Meninga looking for the touchline with the breeze at his back. Has no trouble. Will push it inside the Kumals quarter line. Australia on the attack again. Walters will come across to take it, and on the charge comes 106 kilos of Graham Mackay. Already a try score in his test debut. The Australians looking to further enhance this lead. Gillespie in centre field, only about 12 metres out. Options either side. Here come the forwards. It goes to Lazarus. Lazarus to Meninga through the centre of the ruck, and he's dragged down. That was Napau over the top. Good smothering defence. Can they hold out again against the Australian Giants? Sirinen surges towards the line.
Naffin has not moved.
He is stone cold just off to play the ball. Then you get the Papua New Guinea skipper. Meninga on the blind, the short ball to Kahn, but there's plenty of New Guinea willing defence there. And Hale has seen this problem. Naffin has not moved after that series of tackles, and I suspect that it was from that charge of Paul Sirinen's. Well, he's been one of their best players.
You can just see there on the replay, as soon as Sirinen came into contact, it looked, or it really did appear as though he was knocked unconscious right from that moment, trying to go low, possibly ran into one of Ciro's knees. Again, the courage, though, he wasn't going to get out of the big fella's way.
Let's hope he really recovers well here, Wally, too, because as captain, this is a great moment against Australia. Let's remember this scoreline really does favour Australia because of that try to Fittler, which wasn't a try.
That's exactly right. There's 6 points. I mean, take the 6 points away, and it's 14 points to 4 in anyone's ball game. And Michael O'Connor a change for the Australians. We see Mark Sargent coming on.
That's right, Paddy. He's been given his opportunity, but the only sensible thing to do in that instance is take that particular player off the field. There's no way he can participate in the game any further. It was a very heavy knock, and only thankful that that he had that headgear on. It could have been a lot worse, maybe.
Yes, well, let's hope he's okay, and perhaps he'll keep us up to date with how Kieran Naffin, the Kumals captain, is going once he gets to the dressing room and the doctors can have a close look at him. So the Kumals now trying to work it outside their own quarter. It's the hooker, Matt Millo, down with it. They pop it wide. Aquila Emil shaped the kick and then darts it outside his own quarter line. But the Australian defence is willing. On the 5th tackle. Oh, plenty of chases. Was Daly onside? It doesn't matter. The kick's taken. Khan takes it inside the Kumals half. So again, the Australians had the chance to apply pressure, and he seemed to throw out the elbow then. Hale will say nothing more of it. Meninga works the blind side. Johns was popping on the inside, but there's plenty of defenders there for the Australian skipper. Ben Moide was one of them, a veteran in this team. Langer with the defence closing quickly. Throws the good ball to Sargent on the charge. Playing his first test on home soil. Called into this team at the last possible moment when Harrigan was suspended. Cartwright standing and tackles, looking to unload. He's got Mackay outside. It's going to be a Penrith try. The Penrith combination will put it down right beside the post. And Wally Lewis picked it. On came John Cartwright to add that little extra string to the Australian bow. And he found his Penrith teammate in Graham Mackay, who crosses for his second.
Well, the Australians switching the ball left, they had a big overlap. The weight of numbers here simply forcing the problem. But Johnny Cartwright, that's his favourite side of the football field, the left-hand side. Carts the ball across, gets that right hand free, sometimes before, most times after he goes through to the defensive line. And the ever-present Graham Mackay using his weight and size advantage to the best of his ability, posting another 4 points for Australia, racking up his second try on debut.
And 2 tries within the space of 5 minutes for Australia has really put the Kumals on the rack now, as Naffin has refused to leave the field. There he is in the foreground of the shot, still receiving treatment from the Kumals handlers. Breeze at his back. No problems for the Australian captain. Scoreline at the Townsville Sports Reserve reads Australia 26, the Papua New Guinea Kumals 4. And Wally, we've just seen a couple of mistakes. One from the Australian kick-off when the Kumals let it go dead, and then one from Kara, who kicked it out on the full, has put them under plenty of pressure, hasn't it?
Yes, they've done that 3 or 4 times throughout the course of the match. Of course, we saw an occasion as well in the first half where they failed to kick the ball out from a penalty. They're the little things that have kept the Papuans under a little bit of pressure as we see them give away another penalty, which will put them under further pressure as we see Australia punch the ball downfield, courtesy of a Meninga kick. I guess this will go out somewhere around about 10 metres into the Kumals half.
Yes, well, they're applying pressure to themselves now, the Kumals. We mentioned those mistakes, and there was another obvious one from Durawa Ben Moide.
He was listening to you.
Thanks, Mel.
As I said moments ago, Ben Moide, one of the more experienced players, and he pulled that little manoeuvre off right in front of Dennis Hale, but plenty of willing defence there with a couple of replacements on now for the Kumals. And we see Launer on, and so too is Nande Yer. Ball has popped up from Lazarus, and it will be cleaned up by the Kumals. This is the replacement in Nande Yer, bumping his way up towards halfway. So now the Kumals get a chance to go on the attack again. They haven't had this opportunity for quite some time in the second half as the Australians piled on those 2 converted tries in the space of 5 minutes to sprint away with this match. They lead 26 points to 4 with about 15 minutes of play remaining here in Townsville. Massive crowd, 12,500. There's the skipper, head in his hands. He'll be very disappointed that he had to leave the field in that way. Knock back. says referee Dennis Hale, and Emile works it towards the halfway again, but still they can't invade Australian territory. They work it to the open side, and this is Karu putting the kick to it. And a big one too. Johns and Khan had it covered as Wagombe was sprinting through. He'd come off his right-hand wing and followed Uradoc through there. But the ball goes into touch about 15 metres out from the Australian line. Langer to feed this scrum as the Australian pack reforms. Oh, couldn't take long, that one, did it? In and out in the twinkling of an eye.
That was well fed to the lock.
Is it inside his feet? Lindner on the charge. He's been dangerous all night. Good run, Bobby Lindner. Now the Australian forwards on a roll. Meninga wants it. He'll take over a forwards roll, but pops it back into Langer. And Langer's knocked down 10 metres inside his own half. Back to Sargent. Sargent making good ground. Over the halfway line and dragging defenders with him. Good run from the Newcastle prop. They work the blind side. Set play from the Aussies here. Khan juggles, takes it well. Pops inside Matt Milo and still running Willie Khan. But Uradoc did well to chase him across field and drag him down on the fifth. Laurie Daly pops it to Chris Johns. Johns is there and over he goes. Bogey tried to take him head on, but he was standing on his own try line. And Chris Johns simply had to fall over with the ball as Australia start to sprint away with it here. Johns, as I said, Bogey was there. He's shown himself to be a great front-on defender, but he was standing right on his line and just that little twinkle toe step.
Well, the replay showing the problem for the Papua New Guineans, that they do have the numbers there, but they're just failing to move up in defence.
An interesting statistic just handed to me, but that brings up Australia's 100 points against the Papua New Guinea Kumals on home soil. Of course, setting that record of 70 points to 8 in Wagga in 1988, when our man on the sideline, Michael O'Connor, scored 30 of them. That one just shaving the left hand upright. No further points added by the Australian skipper. It remains at the Townsville Sports Reserve on our forward scoreboard. Australia leading the Kumals 30 points to 4.
Well, the points have started to come now. Australia's smallest winning margin against the Kumals, as we see Sheridan leaving the field, replaced by Kevin Walters, was 34 points, and that was the second test in that tour at Port Moresby last year. 40-6 on that occasion. Fittler with a great step. But it is still a great night for the Kumals, Mick, isn't it?
It certainly is. They're playing a lot better than they did in '88, and I didn't see the test matches up in Papua New Guinea. This is a great run, isn't it, Graham?
Mick, I wanted to ask you about Graham Mackay and the year he has had.
Oh, he's had a terrific year. It was cut in half with a bad injury to his hand. He broke his hand. He almost certainly would have been in the Test series against the Great Britain side. But a big, powerful runner, and they find it very difficult. Any side finds it difficult to tackle him. But good news, Graham, from Michael Hancock. So if Wayne Bennett is listening, he now believes, I've just been talking to him, he now believes it's just deep bruising to his sternum and maybe his abdomen, and not, as originally suspected, a broken rib.
Good news for the Broncos, for Hancock and Wayne Bennett. Bad news for everybody else in the Winfield Cup who has to try and stop him. Sinamau. Missed tackles have really mounted in this second 40. 37 now against the Kumals. Emil with a difficult one, half volleys it. Now to Carew. Stops, restarts. Little chip, he will get it back. Great skills, just couldn't drag it in at the finish. Knock on against the Kumals. Thought about it, saw a little bit of a gap. Just couldn't grab it. Right on halfway the scrum. Penalty against the Kumals now inside. The 5 metres from the scrum. Langer takes it quickly, trying to get things restarted. With a little more than 10 to go here at Townsville to try and really add some points. Langer. Sargent. Tremendous front row combination the Newcastle Knights have with Sargent and Harrigan. Sargent wants some more. Sargent wants a try. Will they stop him? No, they won't. They all climbed aboard. He gave 4 of them a free ride. A quick restart and right underneath the posts.
And Matt Milo on that occasion making a real meal of the defence. With 10 minutes remaining, we'll see Meninga put the 2 points through. Perhaps the floodgates have opened.
36-4, Australia over the Kumals.
Players request, could you please stay off the field at the conclusion of tonight's match?
Meninga with a wander back, telling his teammates there's still time for a lot more. Four tries in 15 minutes for the Australians. Emil has not disappointed any of the Papuan fans with his display at halfback. Lindner gallops past Carew. We talk about the British and the difference between their home scene to the Winfield Cup in Australia and about not being able to maintain the rage nor the pace in the Test series in the last 15 or 20, especially at Lang Park, and even more so for the Kumals.
Yes, the speed at which this game has been played is vastly different to what we see it in PNG. But the sheer size and pace of the Australians is something that really is outstanding.
Langer looked to try to get behind the defence with the kick. Bogey has impressed at fullback, reading the play and coming up trying to cut off the options plenty of times tonight.
A number of times he's really thrown his body on the line, especially in some of the defensive efforts from the PNG side out wide, and every opportunity when he's had the chance to join the Kumals back line, he's came into there at great pace.
Just outside their own 22, Emil will play it. Naffin still not well sidelined, heavily concussed after colliding with Siren and putting his head in the wrong place, trying to bring him down short of the line. They have another man down. They have 2 men down, in fact, as they go down to their 5th tackle. Daly confidently pulls it in one hand, beats 1, beats 2. Big gap for him up the middle, but he can't beat the tackle of Gisbay. Quick play of the ball for Langer to set them on their way. Meninga was under pressure in defence. Iradoc drags down Langer. Sargent looking for a second try, taken by Gisbay. Kevin Walters to a very wide Cartwright, who will put Johns through a half gap. All it was needed was a good ball to Graham Mackay. He would have grabbed another one. Big chance out wide.
Here's Cartwright putting the ball into the hole for Johns. At that stage, it really didn't look like another 4 points was going to be posted by the Australians, but unfortunately the ball going to ground. The Papuans are really finding the pace of the game a little bit hard for them to handle at the moment.
Back they go to their own 22 through Carew. Emil couldn't pick it up. They go wide. Now back on the inside for Sinemau. Ducking under the tackle from Lazarus. Matt Milo nearly got away. Bogey through the dummy. Everybody took it. He's got support too. Laurie Daly backs off, tries to let the cover join him. Touched by Australia. Another try. And deservedly so. Meninga driving it down the middle. Bogey stepping. This time he doesn't find his way through. Matt Milo. They bring it away, this time through Lorna in 17. Langer, swinging arm. Mistakes, 32 out from their own line. Langer with the scrum feed. Never went anywhere near the tunnel. Kevin Walters to Chris Johns to the outside of his man. Now back on the inside with room to move. Beating plenty of tacklers. Steve Walters here's the call to go wide to the right. Lazarus dummies. The big front rower showing some skill and some pace and power. Now they have them stretched with big numbers. Langer quickly to Cartwright. Fittler. Johns. Cartwright again. Cartwright around the back, trying to get it to Daly. It goes over the sideline.
Much to the relief of the Papuan team, who are really finding the pace of this match a little bit hard to deal with at the moment.
Couple of minutes remaining. Emil looking for another break. Cut off by his opposite, Langer. Again, Emil. Cinemau leaves it behind, goes back for it. Got away from Cartwright, not Walters, but unloaded well to Ben Moide. He gets hammered midfield on the 32 by Lindner. Little kick for the outside man. Iradoc coming very quickly, picks it up brilliantly. August Joseph. He will go back to Emil. Spectacular try. Emil under the post. Is he? Magnificent.
What a great try. And don't the Papuans celebrate, and so they should.
And this will be Australia's smallest winning margin ever against the Kumals. The siren has gone. The sports reserve will be totally invaded by the league fans up in the north of Queensland. The Australians scurry for cover. The Kumals, a great night for them. Bad hands for the Australians, but scored tries when they needed it. Ford scoreboard, 36-14. Back with more from Townsville after the break.